The red warning lights flashed across Commander Elaine Wright's control panel. The USS Horizon shuddered as it approached the edge of what scientists had long called the Oort radiation belt. For centuries, this mysterious zone had marked the practical limit of human exploration. "Systems reporting unusual energy patterns," said Lieutenant Amy Green, her eyes fixed on the flickering screens. "Nothing like regular radiation." Commander Wright nodded. She was a tall woman with short brown hair and eyes that rarely missed details. After 20 years in space exploration, she had learned to trust her instincts. Something about this mission felt different. "Continue approach, reduce speed," she ordered. "Let's see what we're really dealing with here." The Horizon was Earth's most advanced ship, built with experimental drive systems and sensors that could detect things previous vessels couldn't. This mission was meant to map the radiation belt in better detail, but Wright had privately suspected there was more to discover. "Commander, I'm picking up patterns in the energy field," said Chief Science Officer Jack Miller. His voice held the controlled excitement scientists get when facing the unknown. "This doesn't match any natural phenomenon in our database." Wright moved to his station, studying the readings. "Almost looks artificial," she muttered. Miller nodded slowly. "That was my thought too, but that would mean that someone put it there," Wright finished. She straightened up, making a decision. "Adjust our shields to match the frequency of those energy patterns. Let's see if we can pass through safely." "Commander, that's not in the mission parameters," warned First Officer Dan Peters. "Note your objection, but I'm proceeding," Wright said firmly. "Humanity has been stuck in this solar system too long while the rest of the universe remains silent. I want to know why." The crew worked quickly, adjusting the ship's shield harmonics. The Horizon moved forward cautiously, the hull vibrating as it approached the barrier. "Shield modifications complete. We're ready to attempt passage," reported Engineer Greg Wells from below deck. "Proceed," ordered Wright. The ship pushed forward. For a moment, the lights flickered and warning alarms blared. Everyone held their breath. Then suddenly, the Horizon broke through to the other side, and the alarms fell silent. "Status report," Wright demanded. "All systems operational," said Peters, sounding surprised. "We're through," but no one was celebrating yet. On the main view screen, they could see stars, but not in the patterns they knew. And floating about 2 miles ahead was a massive structure that definitely wasn't natural. "My God," whispered Miller. "That's not human-made." The structure glimmered with lights, clearly a monitoring station of some kind. Before Wright could issue further orders, their communication system activated on its own. "Unknown vessel, you, have breached containment zone Earth 7. Power down immediately and prepare for boarding. Any resistance will be met with force." Half a galaxy away on the planet Centraxia, Junior Diplomatic Officer Zert Val was having an ordinary day processing interstellar trade permits. The Praxian had been working at the Galactic Council for only 3 cycles, still trying to make a good impression. With blue-tinged skin and 4 arms, he moved efficiently between screens in his small office. A red alert suddenly flashed across his main terminal, something he had never seen before. He read it twice, not believing his eyes. Containment breach. Zone Earth 7. Zertval knew the protocols. He immediately transferred the alert to his supervisor, but it was too late to avoid involvement. Within minutes, his communication panel lit up with a priority call from Security Administrator Cairo Dean himself. "Officer Zert Val, report to Council Chamber 5 immediately. Bring the alert data." When Zert Val entered Chamber 5, he found it already, filled with high-ranking officials from various species. The room buzzed with nervous energy. Security Administrator Cairo Dean, a tall reptilian with armored skin, spotted him immediately. "The data now," he demanded, extending a clawed hand. Zert Val handed over the data crystal and tried to leave, but Cairo Dean stopped him. "Stay. You received the first alert. The Council will want your testimony." The chamber fell silent as Council Chairperson Elam Veer entered. The ancient being moved slowly, their crystalline body catching the light. According to rumor, Elam Veer had been present when the containment policy was first established. Is it confirmed? Elamvir asked without preamble. Cairo Dean nodded grimly. Yes, Chairperson. Humans have breached the quarantine barrier. One of their vessels passed through less than 30 minutes ago. The chamber erupted in voices. Some council members stood demanding immediate action. Others called for caution. Silence, commanded Elamvir. We have protocols for this situation. With respect, Chairperson, said Representative Jorn of the Volter Imperium. Those protocols are theoretical. No species has ever breached a Class 7 containment field before. Because no species should be able to, added another council member. The barriers are designed to be undetectable and impenetrable. To the contained civilization's level of technology, Cairo Dean stepped forward. Our monitoring station has made contact with the human vessel. They are attempting to communicate rather than attacking, which is unexpected. Don't be fooled, warned Jorn. Humans are deceptive by nature. That's why they were contained in the first place. A holographic display activated in the center of the chamber, showing historical footage of human conflicts, from ancient battles to modern wars. I remind the Council why the containment decision was made 800 years ago, continued Jorn. Humans are the only known species that continues to wage war against itself well into its technological age. They are unpredictable, aggressive, and dangerously adaptable. Elamvir raised a crystalline hand for silence. What does the enforcement vessel report about the human ship? It appears to be a scientific vessel, not military, Cairo Dean replied. Scans indicate 28 humans aboard. Their technology is primitive by our standards, but they somehow modified their shields to pass through the barrier. This confirms our concerns about their adaptability. Back on the horizon, Commander Wright faced the most important decision of her life. The alien vessel dwarfed her ship, bristling with what were clearly weapons. Options? She asked her officers. We can't outrun them, said Peters, and fighting would be suicide. I recommend we try to communicate, suggested Communications Officer Laura Wilson. They're speaking to us in English, which means they've been studying us. They know who we are. Wright nodded. Open a channel. When the connection established, she stood tall. This is Commander Elaine Wright of the Earth vessel Horizon. We are on a peaceful scientific mission. We mean no harm and request diplomatic contact. There was a long pause before the reply came. Earth vessel, your species is under Galactic Council Containment Order 7B. You have illegally breached your quarantine zone. Stand down and prepare for boarding. Wright looked at her crew, seeing the mix of fear and determination on their faces. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for generations, but no one had imagined it would happen like this, discovering they had been deliberately caged. We will comply with boarding, she replied carefully. But I formally request to know why Earth has been quarantined without our knowledge or consent. As the alien ship moved closer, Wright sent a quick encrypted message back to Earth, knowing it might be their only chance to warn humanity about what they had discovered. The message was simple. We are not alone. We never were. But we are not free either. Captain Owen Bell adjusted his uniform and tried to look calm as the airlock opened. The crew of the USS Horizon had been transferred to this larger alien vessel 2 hours ago. Now, after waiting in a plain white room, they would finally meet, their captors face to face. The door slid open with a soft hiss. 3 aliens entered. 2 carried what were clearly weapons. The third, slightly taller than the others, stepped forward. Its skin was pale blue with faint patterns that seemed to shift. Large, dark eyes studied the humans carefully. I am Officer Zalek of Galactic Enforcement, the alien said in perfect English. You will answer my questions truthfully. Bell stepped forward. Commander Wright had put him in charge of diplomatic contact due to his background in international relations. I'm Captain Owen Bell. We are peaceful explorers from Earth. We didn't know we were breaking any rules by traveling through that barrier. Zalek's eyes narrowed. Impossible. No contained species accidentally breaks through a Class 7 barrier. We didn't know it was a barrier, Dr. Lisa Cooper said, stepping forward despite Bell's warning glance. We thought it was a radiation field. Our sensors detected patterns in the energy that suggested it might be safe to pass through with modified shields. The alien guards raised their weapons slightly, but Zalek motioned them to stand down. "You claim ignorance of the quarantine?" Zalek asked. "We had no idea Earth was quarantined," Bell confirmed. "Until today, most humans believed we were alone in the universe." This statement caused visible surprise among the aliens. Zalek turned and spoke rapidly in another language to the guards. One left the room quickly. "If you are telling the truth, this creates complications," Zalek said finally. "The containment protocols require that contained species remain unaware of their status." Dr. Cooper moved closer. "Why was Earth quarantined? What did we do wrong?" "That is not for me to discuss," Zalek replied. "The Council will decide what happens next. Until then, you will remain here." After the aliens left, the crew gathered around Bell and Wright. "They've been watching us for who knows how long," Wright said quietly, "and they never made contact." "But they've been studying us," Bell pointed out. "Zalek speaks perfect English. That takes time and effort." Cooper nodded. "And they know exactly who we are. They were tracking us before we even reached the barrier." "Did anyone else notice how nervous they seemed?" Lieutenant Green asked. "Those guards were ready to shoot at the smallest movement. They're afraid of us," Wright realized. "But why? Their technology is clearly far beyond ours." Back on Earth, NASA engineer Sam Rivera was working late. He was monitoring deep space communications when an unusual signal caught his attention. It was from the horizon, but on an emergency frequency and heavily encrypted. "Hey Diane, come look at this," he called to his colleague, astronomer Diane Porter, who was analyzing telescope data nearby. She joined him at his station. "Is that from the horizon? They shouldn't be able to transmit from that far out." "Exactly," Sam said, working to decrypt the message. "And they're using emergency protocols I've never seen activated before." The message finally appeared on screen. Both stared in silence as they read Commander Wright's report about the barrier, the alien ship, and the quarantine. "This can't be real," Diane whispered. "The encryption is legitimate," Sam insisted. "Either the entire crew has lost their minds or everything we know about our place in the universe is wrong," Diane finished. Sam started typing rapidly. "We need to alert the director." "Wait," Diane said suddenly, pointing to a small device near the ceiling that nobody had ever questioned before. "What if we're being watched right now? What if they're listening?" Sam followed her gaze. The small metal object had always been there, assumed to be part of the building's security system. But now, "We need to check the whole facility," he said quietly. "But first, we need to secure this message." On Centraxia, the Galactic Council had convened a full emergency session. All 57 member species were represented, something that happened only during major crises. Council Chairperson Elam Veer called the session to order. "The containment breach of Species 7 Earth has been confirmed. Enforcement has the human vessel and crew in custody. Chief Intelligence Officer Mevo Ran, a tall insect-like being, activated a holographic display. For those unfamiliar with humans, this briefing is necessary. Earth was placed under quarantine 823 standard cycles ago after our initial observation. Period. Unlike other contained species, humans were considered too unpredictable to be safely integrated into galactic society. The display showed images of Earth's history, wars, environmental damage, but also scientific breakthroughs and art. Humans advance technologically at an abnormal rate, Mevoran continued. They adapt to new challenges faster than any known species. More concerning is their response to threats. They become more innovative when under pressure. Representative Jorn of the Voltar Imperium stood. The original containment decision was correct. Humans are too dangerous. Their escape proves this. We should reinforce the quarantine immediately, with additional measures. Ambassador Tren Sil of the Loriki, a species known for their empathic abilities, disagreed. The quarantine itself may violate our own laws. Humans have evolved significantly since the original decision. They deserve evaluation by current standards. The chamber erupted in debate. Junior member species generally supported contact with humans, while the older, more powerful civilizations favored continued isolation. Zertval watched from his small seat at the back, overwhelmed by the historic moment he was witnessing. This was the biggest crisis the Council had faced in generations. On the enforcement vessel, Officer Zalek received new orders. The human crew watched anxiously as he entered their holding area. "The Council has made a preliminary decision," he announced. "2 of your officers will be permitted to appear before a Council subcommittee to present your case." "Our case?" Bell asked. "We didn't know we needed one." "All contained species have the right to petition for status review," Zalek explained, sounding like he was reciting regulations. "This is unusual only because contained species typically know they are contained." Wright stepped forward. "I'll go." "And I'll accompany her," Dr. Cooper added quickly. "As a scientist, I can answer technical questions." Zalek nodded. "Prepare yourselves. You leave in 2 hours. The rest will remain here." After he left, Wright turned to Bell. "Keep the crew safe. If we don't return, don't say it," Bell interrupted. "Focus on making them understand we're not a threat." Wright smiled grimly. "That's just it. I'm not sure that's true. We broke through a barrier they thought was impenetrable. Maybe they're right to be afraid of us." Cooper was examining a data pad one of the guards had left behind. "Captain, I think I've found something. This has star charts. If I'm reading this correctly, we're not just dealing with a few alien species." She held up the pad, showing a map of the galaxy with thousands of marked worlds. "We're looking at an entire galactic civilization, and Earth is just one tiny quarantined dot on the edge of it all." Dr. Lisa Cooper tried not to stare at the alien beings around her. The Council subcommittee room was filled with creatures of all shapes and sizes. Some looked almost human, while others seemed impossible by Earth's biological standards. A floating crystal being hovered near the center of the room, apparently the leader. "The Subcommittee on Containment Policy will now hear testimony from representatives of Species 7 Earth," announced a tall, plant-like creature. Commander Wright stood beside Cooper, her face calm despite the pressure. They had prepared as best they could during the journey to Centraxia. "We thank the Council for this opportunity," Wright began. "We are here to understand why Earth was placed under quarantine and to request that this policy be reconsidered." The crystal being, who they learned was Council Chairperson Elam Veer, moved slightly forward. "Commander Wright, Dr. Cooper, you must understand that containment is not a punishment. It is a protective measure, both for the contained species and for galactic society." "Protective against what?" Cooper asked. A holographic display activated, showing scenes from Earth's history. Wars, environmental disasters, and social conflicts played out before them. "Humans have a unique pattern of behavior," explained a bug-like alien identified as Mevoran. "You advance technologically while still engaging in tribal conflicts. Most species outgrow warfare before developing space travel. You did not." Wright frowned. "But we've made enormous progress. The last World War was generations ago. Yet you maintain weapons that could destroy your entire planet," countered Representative Jorn, a reptilian being with sharp teeth. "And now we see your adaptability breached a barrier designed to be impenetrable. This only confirms our concerns." Cooper stepped forward. "May I speak freely?" After receiving a nod from Elam Veer, she continued. "You've been watching us for centuries, but I don't think you understand us. Yes, humanity has flaws. We make mistakes. But we learn from them. We improve." She pointed to the holographic images. "For every war you show, I can show you acts of cooperation and sacrifice. For every environmental mistake, I can show you conservation efforts. Humans are not perfect, but we strive to be better." The room fell silent. Then a gentle voice spoke up. "The human speaks truth." All eyes turned to a slender, pale being with large, expressive eyes, Ambassador Trensil of the Lariki. "My species can sense emotions and intentions," Trensil explained to Wright and Cooper. "I sense no deception in you, only confusion and a desire for understanding." Meanwhile, back on Earth, the news of alien contact had spread like wildfire. Governments worldwide scrambled to respond. Some called for military preparation, others for peaceful outreach. Conspiracy theories flourished as people tried to make sense of the revelation that humanity had been caged like animals in a zoo. Navy. Officer Maria Diaz had been assigned to a special task force investigating alien monitoring devices. Her team had found hundreds of them hidden in key locations around the world, in government buildings, research facilities, and even schools. This one was in the ceiling of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, she told her superior, Admiral Clark. It's been recording and transmitting data for at least 50 years based on the dust patterns. Admiral Clark examined the small metallic sphere. What have they been watching? Everything, Maria replied, but especially our technological development. And sir, we found something else. Evidence that certain research projects were deliberately sabotaged over the years, especially ones related to faster-than-light travel. The Admiral's face darkened. They weren't just watching us, they were holding us back. Across the globe, similar discoveries led to growing anger. Humanity had never been alone, and their cosmic neighbors had chosen to imprison rather than welcome them. President Kevin Russell addressed the United Nations in an emergency session. Today we face a truth that changes everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe, he said, his voice steady, despite the enormity of the moment. We are not alone, but we are also not free. Earth has been placed under quarantine, without our knowledge or consent. Now we must decide how to respond. The debate in the UN mirrored the one happening in the Galactic Council. Some nations called for aggressive action, others for cautious diplomacy. On Centraxia, the full council session had devolved into chaos. The discovery that humans had been unaware of their containment had split the council along ideological lines. The preservationist faction, led by the ancient Voltar Imperium, insisted that the quarantine be reinforced immediately. Humans are dangerous precisely because of their ignorance, Jorn argued. They lack the maturity to join galactic society. The progressive faction, mostly younger spacefaring species, fought back. Containment without consent or knowledge violates our most basic principles, countered Trensil. We cannot claim to be a civilization based on rights while denying those same rights to others. Junior diplomatic officer Zirt Val watched the debate with growing concern. As the officer who had received the initial alert, he had been asked to remain present. Now he found himself drawn into the conflict when Counselor Mivoran addressed him directly. Officer Zirt Val, access the historical records of the original containment decision. We need to review the evidence. Zirt Val quickly retrieved the files, and a new holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. The council fell silent as ancient recordings played. An old alien voice spoke. The simulations are conclusive. If humans join the galactic community, they will achieve technological dominance within 500 cycles. Their adaptation rate exceeds all known species. For the stability of the galactic order, containment is the only option. The recording continued, revealing the true reason for Earth's quarantine, not because humans were violent or dangerous, but because they were too innovative, too adaptable. The older species feared being overtaken. Ambassador Trensil turned to face the council. The truth is now clear. Earth was contained out of fear, not protection. Fear of what humans might become, not what they were. In the subcommittee room, Dr. Cooper and Commander Wright listened in shock as the truth was finally revealed to them. We were caged because we learned too quickly? Wright asked, disbelief in her voice. Not just that. Cooper realized, studying the data now available to them. Look at these adaptation curves. Humans solve problems differently than other species. We try unusual approaches, take risks. According to these studies, we would have revolutionized galactic technology within a few centuries. Ilomvir's crystalline form shimmered. Now you understand our dilemma. Your species represents both great potential and great disruption. The question before us is whether the time has come to end the containment. As the debate continued, a message arrived from the enforcement vessel guarding Earth. Reports indicated that humans worldwide were discovering and disabling monitoring devices. Earth's governments were unifying in response to the revelation of their cosmic imprisonment. The quarantine was already failing, not just because one ship had broken through, but because once aware of their cage, humans would never stop trying to break free. Captain Jason Howard of the newly commissioned USS Defiant wasn't supposed to be in this part of the space station. He had been invited along with other human officers for what the aliens called a cultural exchange, while diplomatic talks continued. But when his alien guide was called away, Howard took the opportunity to explore. That's how he found himself in a monitoring center, watching as a fleet of massive warships prepared for departure. "Containment reinforcement vessels ready for jump," said an alien technician, unaware of Howard's presence in the shadows of the doorway. "Target coordinates set for Sol system." Howard's heart raced. During the 2 weeks since humanity's discovery of the quarantine, he had served as a military liaison with the alien representatives. Publicly, the Galactic Council claimed they were still debating Earth status, but this fleet told a different story. He backed away carefully and hurried to find Commander Wright, who had returned to the station after her testimony. He found her in a meeting with Dr. Cooper and diplomat Eric Walsh. "We have a problem," Howard said, cutting into their conversation. "The Voltar are sending warships to Earth. I saw them preparing to leave." Wright's face darkened. "Are you certain?" "I heard them myself. They called them containment reinforcement vessels. Whatever the Council is debating, the Voltar have already decided." Walsh, who had joined the human delegation from Earth, shook his head. "This violates the temporary agreement. The Council promised no action would be taken until a final decision was reached." "The Voltar Imperium doesn't seem concerned with promises," Cooper said. "We need to warn Earth." Wright nodded. "Captain Howard, get to our communications array immediately. Security will be watching, so be careful. The rest of us will confront the Council representatives about this fleet." Back on Earth, progress was being made at extraordinary speed. The discovery and reverse engineering of alien monitoring devices had accelerated human technology in ways that would have taken decades otherwise. In a secured facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Chief Engineer Frank Mason studied the alien shield technology they had recovered. His team had been working non-stop for days. "The field harmonics are the key," he explained to the gathered military and scientific leaders. "We've managed to replicate their basic shield design using Earth materials." "How effective would it be against their weapons?" asked Admiral Clark. "Not very at first," Mason admitted. "But each time their weapons hit the shield, our systems will gather data and adapt. That's the beauty of our design. It learns and improves during combat." Admiral Clark raised an eyebrow. "Self-adapting shields? That's not in the alien technical data we recovered." "No, sir," Mason said with a slight smile. "That's our innovation. The aliens use stable, predictable systems. We've made ours dynamic." Maria Diaz, who had been analyzing alien weapons systems, spoke up. "This matches what we've seen in their technology. They build things to last for centuries with minimal changes. We build things to be upgraded constantly. So the very adaptability they fear in us is what might save us," Admiral Clark concluded. The meeting was interrupted when an aide rushed in. "Sir, we're receiving an emergency transmission from Captain Howard on the alien station. The Voltar Imperium has dispatched a fleet to Earth, estimated arrival in 72 hours. In the council chamber on Centraxia, the emergency session had turned hostile. Commander Wright stood with Dr. Cooper and Eric Walsh, facing the council representatives. "We have evidence that the Voltar Imperium is sending warships to Earth while pretending to participate in these talks," Wright accused. "Is this how the Galactic Council conducts diplomacy? With lies and secret military actions?" Many council members appeared genuinely shocked. The Loriki ambassador Trensil turned to Representative Jorn. "Is this true? Has the Imperium activated military forces without council approval?" Jorn's reptilian features remained calm. "The Imperium has a duty to protect galactic stability. If the council cannot make timely decisions, we must act." "This is an outrage," shouted a representative from a younger species. "The Voltar have no right to act unilaterally." Chairperson Elam Veer's crystalline form pulsed with what seemed like anger. "Representative Jorn, Recall your fleet immediately. This action is unauthorized. It is too late, Jorn replied coldly. The fleet has entered faster than light travel. They will not receive new orders until they reach the Earth system. Eric Walsh stepped forward. Then understand this. Earth will defend itself. We didn't ask for this conflict, but we will not submit to being caged again. As tensions escalated in the council chamber, a small research outpost on Mars received the first warning. Human scientists had established the base just months earlier, unaware of the galactic politics that would soon engulf them. Dr. Julie Peterson was monitoring deep space signals when her equipment detected the incoming ships. "We have multiple objects approaching at impossible speeds," she reported to the base commander. "They don't match any known signature." The base sent an emergency alert to Earth, but they were too far to evacuate in time. The Voltar fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel on the edge of the solar system. Most continued toward Earth, but a smaller group broke off toward Mars. Their commander, Vextor, had specific orders: destroy any human outposts to prevent technological expansion. The 5 human ships stationed near Mars moved to intercept, despite being hopelessly outmatched. The USS Freedom, commanded by Captain Abby Nelson, led the small defensive group. "We can't win this fight," her tactical officer warned. "We don't need to win," Nelson replied. "We just need to buy time for the Mars base to evacuate. Tactical, target their lead ship's propulsion systems. Communications, broadcast our actions on all frequencies." The human ships moved with unexpected agility, using the faster turning radius of their smaller vessels to avoid the initial volley of alien weapons. They coordinated their attack with precision that surprised the Voltar commander. On a nearby observation post, representatives from neutral council species watched in shock. They had been stationed in the Sol system to monitor the situation and provide independent reports to the council. "The humans are fighting defensively," noted observer Quintil. "They're protecting their outpost, not attacking indiscriminately." "And their tactics," added his colleague. "They're coordinating in ways our simulations said would be impossible for their technology level." The battle continued as the human ships darted between the larger Voltar vessels, causing confusion in their formation. It wasn't enough to win, but it disrupted the Voltar attack plan. Captain Nelson's voice broadcast across all channels. "This is Captain Abby Nelson of Earth. We are defending our research outpost against unprovoked aggression. We seek peace, but we will not surrender our right to exist among the stars." The neutral observers recorded everything, transmitting it back to the council in real time. For the first time, council species were witnessing humans in combat, not as the mindless aggressors they had been portrayed as, but as defenders fighting to protect their people against overwhelming odds. In the council chamber, these transmissions appeared on the main display. Silence fell as they watched the outmatched human ships maneuver with unexpected skill and determination. "They fight to protect, not to conquer," Ambassador Trensill observed quietly. "Perhaps we have misjudged them all along." The battle near Mars changed everything. Though outnumbered and outgunned, the human ships managed to protect the research base long enough for a partial evacuation. Captain Nelson's ship, the USS Freedom, was severely damaged, but continued fighting until the last shuttle escaped. The neutral council observers had transmitted the entire engagement back to Centraxia. The council chamber fell silent as they watched humans sacrifice themselves to save others. Not the behavior expected from a species deemed too dangerous for galactic society. "This evidence cannot be ignored," Ambassador Trensill said, breaking the silence. The humans fought only to defend, not to destroy. They broadcast their intentions openly and protected their researchers rather than attacking our observers. Representative Yorn hissed in frustration. "One battle does not change their nature. Their adaptability remains a threat." "A threat to whom?" asked Eric Walsh, who had remained in the council chamber during the crisis. "To the galaxy, or just to the power of older species like the Voltar?" The debate was interrupted when Officer Zalek rushed in with news that made even Chairperson Elam Veer's crystalline form pulse with alarm. "The human ships near Earth have deployed a new shield technology. Zalek reported. It appears to be adapting to our weapons in real time. Each attack is becoming less effective. Commander Wright exchanged glances with Dr. Cooper. They had known Earth scientists were working with recovered alien technology, but this development was unexpected. Impossible, Representative Jorn declared. Their technological level cannot produce adaptive shielding. Yet they have done so, Chairperson Elam Veer observed. Once again, humans have demonstrated the very adaptability that led to their containment. On Earth, President Karen Mitchell addressed an emergency session of the United Nations. The room was tense as leaders from all nations gathered to face humanity's greatest crisis. The Voltar fleet will reach Earth in hours, Mitchell said, her voice steady despite the pressure. Our defensive capabilities have improved thanks to the technology we've adapted, but we remain outmatched. This is the moment that will define our species. She paused, looking at the assembled leaders. We could respond with fear and hatred. We could prove right those who believe humans are too violent for galactic society. Or we could show them something different. Admiral Clark rose to speak. Madam President, our ships report that the alien shields and weapons follow predictable patterns. They're powerful but inflexible. Our adaptive systems are finding weaknesses with each engagement. The Chinese president spoke next. We should unify our response. This is no longer about nations but about humanity's future. Agreement spread through the room as ancient rivalries faded in the face of this greater challenge. For perhaps the first time, Earth truly spoke with one voice. Back on Centraxia, the council vote was deadlocked. The evidence from Mars had swayed many, but not enough to reach the majority needed for a decision. Then Junior Officer Zert Val, still present due to his involvement from the beginning, requested permission to speak. Honored Council, he began nervously. I have been reviewing our historical archives. There is a precedent for this situation. 8,000 cycles ago, the species known as the Arcturians were placed under similar containment. When they eventually discovered the quarantine, they responded with immediate aggression, attacking all council vessels. He activated a display showing comparative data. Humans have had 2 weeks to process their situation. In that time, they have focused primarily on defensive technology and diplomatic outreach. According to our own standards, this behavior warrants reconsideration. Ambassador Trensil seized the opportunity. I call for an immediate vote on a new proposal. End the quarantine of Earth and establish probationary status for humans as a recognized species. The vote was close, but with the evidence from Mars and Earth's measured response, it passed. Representative Jorn and the Voltar delegation immediately stormed out, threatening to withdraw from the council entirely. Chairperson Elam Veer turned to Commander Wright and Dr. Cooper. It appears your species will join galactic society after all. Orders have been sent to recall the Voltar fleet, though we cannot guarantee they will comply. Wright nodded. Thank you, but our work is just beginning. We need to establish proper diplomatic relations and ensure this conflict ends peacefully. And we'll need to address the 800 years of quarantine, Cooper added. Earth will have questions that deserve answers. The Voltar commander received the recall order as his fleet approached Earth. Vex Tor's face twisted with contempt as he read the council's decision. The council has been corrupted by human influence, he told his officers. We will proceed with the mission. Earth's containment must be reinforced for the good of galactic stability. But as the fleet prepared to attack, they faced an unexpected sight. Earth ships weren't preparing for battle. Instead, they formed a ceremonial escort pattern, a traditional galactic greeting for honored visitors. President Mitchell's voice broadcast on all frequencies. Attention, Voltar fleet. We know you've received orders to stand down. We invite you to join us in peaceful discussion. Earth wishes to enter galactic society as friends, not enemies. The message was simultaneously diplomatic and clever. By acknowledging the recall order, Mitchell made it clear to any watching council observers that the Voltar would be the aggressors if they attacked. Vex Tor hesitated. The human ships were maintaining defensive positions but making no aggressive moves. His orders had been based on the assumption that humans would react violently once they discovered the quarantine. Their actual response undermined the very reason for the containment. Finally, he gave the order to stand down. "We will withdraw to the outer system and await further instructions from the Imperium." 1 month later, Commander Wright and Captain Bell stood with Dr. Cooper in the newly established Earth Embassy on Centraxia. They watched as Earth's first official ambassador to the Galactic Council, Eric Walsh, signed the formal agreement ending Earth's quarantine. Across the room, Zertval had been promoted to Liaison Officer for Human Affairs, a position created specifically for the unique challenges of integrating Earth into galactic society. "So what happens now?" Bell asked. Wright smiled. "Now the real work begins. There's an entire galaxy out there, with challenges even the oldest species haven't solved." Cooper nodded, looking at reports of technological exchange programs already underway. Earth scientists were adapting alien technology in ways the original designers never imagined, while alien delegations studied human innovation techniques with fascination. "The Council feared we would change them," she said. "They were right about that part." Outside the embassy, a young Lariki approached Ambassador Walsh with a request that would have been unthinkable months earlier. "My people face an environmental crisis our scientists cannot solve. Our world is dying," the Lariki explained. "We have heard that humans excel at finding solutions where others see none. Would your people be willing to help us?" Walsh looked at the hope in the alien's large eyes. "That's what humans do best," he replied. "We solve problems, especially the ones that seem impossible. Welcome to a new galaxy, my friend. I think we're going to change it for the better."